All right, welcome back. We'd left off on verse 60 in Luke. Um, this is like take four, but we'll be a part two of our daily bread. Let me go ahead and get on through this. What we're talking about is let the dead bury their dead. This guy was not telling Jesus that, hey, I got a funeral to go to. My dad had just died. The research that I've done on this is the guy saying, you know what, my dad's getting up old in years, and he's probably going to die in the next 6 months, year. You know, let me go and tend to him, and then I'll come back and get with you. Jesus is telling him, no, you need to put God above all. And in that, he'll take care of the rest, in other words. And so, without another long explanation, um, go check that out on your own. But Jesus is not saying, no, you can't go to your father's funeral. That's not what he's saying. Finish up the last two verses here, and then we'll get to Psalms and Proverbs, and it'll be part two. And another also said, Master, I shall follow you, but let me first say goodbye to those in my house. And Yeshua said to him, no one having put his hand to the plow and looking back is fit for the kingdom of heaven. If you got all these other things more important than the work of the Lord, you really don't have the Lord in your heart. So, go do your own research on that. Let's get to Proverbs 22. Mishle 22. A good name is preferable to great riches. Favor is better than silver and gold, and the rich and the poor meet together. Yahweh is the maker of them all. A clever one foresees evil and hides himself. But the simple go on and are punished. The reward of humility is the fear of Yahweh, riches and glory and life. Thorns, snares are in the way of the perverse, and he who guards his life keeps far away from them. Train up a child in the way he should go, and even when he is old, he turns not away from it. The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. All right, those two verses right there are key to this culture. Yesterday was Father's Day. Instead of fathers bringing their children together with like-minded believers, it was party time. It's all about dad. Our model in this culture is go into debt, buy the nice house, spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on a house, spend tens of thousands of dollars on a new car, be in debt, be in debt. Well, if you're in debt, you're servant to the lender. He who sows unrighteousness reaps trouble, and the rod of his wrath perishes, and he who has a good eye is blessed, for he gives of his bread to the poor. He casts out the scoffer, and the strife go out, and contention and shame cease. He who loves cleanliness of heart, whose speech is pleasant, a sovereign is his friend. The eyes of Yahweh shall watch over the knowledge, but he overthrows the words of the treacherous. The lazy one says, there's a lion outside, and I'm going to be murdered in the streets. In the mouth of a strange woman is a deep pit. Think of that as a church, false religion. The one denounced by Yahweh falls in there. Folly is bound up in the heart of a child, and the rod of discipline drives it far from him. One who oppresses the poor to increase his wealth, another gives to the rich only to come to poverty. Incline your ear and hear the words of the wise, and apply your heart to my knowledge, for they are pleasant. If you guard them within you, let all of them be ready on your lips, that your trust might be in Yahweh. And I caused you to know today, even you. Have I not previously written to you of counsels and knowledge, to cause you to know the certainty of the words of truth, to return words of truth to those who send to you? Do not rob the poor because he's poor, and oppress not the afflicted at the gate, for Yahweh pleads their cause, and shall plunder those who plunder them. Make no friendship with one given to wrath, and do not go with the man of rage, lest you learn his ways and find yourself ensnared. Do not be one of those who shakes hands in a pledge, one of those who are guarantors for debts. If you do not have the means to pay, why should he take away your bed from under you? You're going to go into debt, and if something happens, you're going to get all this repossessed. Your house, your car, and you're going to be left with nothing. You've toiled for nothing. Do not remove the ancient boundary which your fathers have set. Do you see a man who is skilled in his work? He does stand before kings, and he does stand before obscure ones. Psalm 54, Tehillim 54. O Elohim, save me by your name, and rightly rule me by your might. Hear me in prayer, O Elohim, and give ear to the words of my mouth. For strangers have risen up against me, and cruel men have sought after my life. They have not set Elohim before them. Selah. Kind of like what Jesus was saying in Luke about let the dead bury their dead. We must put Yahweh, we must put God not only first, but over everything in our lives. See, Elohim is my helper. Yahweh is with those who sustain my life. He repays evil to my enemies. Cut them off in your truth. Voluntary I slaughter to you. I praise your name, O Yahweh, for it is good. For he has delivered me out of all distress. And my eye has looked upon my enemies. That ought to resonate with us today in this culture, today in the happenings going on around us. There's stress and wickedness all around us. People calling evil good and good evil. Um, Rule of law is being thrown out. We should be able to look at that, realize what's going on, to guard ourselves, but to know that Yahweh brings the peace in our hearts, the joy in our hearts, to continue with the life that He has given us. You know, we look back at the apostles. You know, Peter, James, John, they were doing all right, fishermen. You know, that was their livelihood. You know, they have pretty good life going on. Jesus comes, flips their life upside down, puts them on a new mission in life, and now they're being persecuted, they're being beat, being imprisoned, um, but yet they still had joy. We may be a generation where this comes upon us. If you go to other cultures in the world today, and for decades now, just to mention the name Jesus or to own a Bible would cost you your life. You know, we don't understand that here in the Western culture because we've been pampered. But there may come a time where we're going to have to make that stance that if we're for God, it could cost us and our families their lives, our lives. Are you ready for that? Are you prepared for that? If you're not staunch in the word of Yahweh, you will falter in that day. I guarantee it. So, y'all be blessed, be encouraged, and always be frustrated. It's Soul-Filled Disciple, and I will catch y'all on the next ride.